Next on our list of insightful talks, we have Untangling, the messy middle of Pinoy digital shoppers. Fantastic topic right there. Discussing it, we have a champion for designing meaningful experiences on interfaces down to innovations. She has focused on strategic planning for more than 8 years in the Philippines' biggest independent agency. She received certifications on designing a business from IDEO U and on e-commerce from Certified Digital Marketer just this 2020. Recently, she also bagged gold awards at Marketing Interactive Asia E-commerce Awards 2021. Everyone, please welcome Lourdes Batac.
Hi, Lourdes.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. So I just want to double check if you guys can hear me.
We hear you loud and clear. You haven't even appeared on screen. People are already saying, "Oh wow,
yes,
Lou!"
They're cheering on you.
All right. Let me just fix sharing my screen right now.
Absolutely. Go right ahead. We want to make sure that everything runs smoothly and perfectly before you start your presentation so nobody misses out. And I think you are good to go. It is all yours,
Perfect. Lou. Thank you so much. So thank you again also for that introduction, Dan, Troy, and Jelly. Hello again, everyone. My name is Lourdes Batac. And if you guys can hear me and see my screen, please say hello on the chat section. So just to make sure, again, for our audiences. I think we're good. All right. So welcome again to Click Revolution, where we will talk about the evolution of e-commerce culture, or should I say the evolution of boodle culture. Just like you, I have been a victim of online boodles across many platforms. This is not just from personal contacts, but also the nature of my strategic work. I specialize in knowing where the digital consumers are shopping and what they're spending on, as well as understanding why they do so. So a bit about me, I shop for food on Instagram to support small businesses like Kodawari. Yes, best gyudon tray ever. Aside from skincare and accessories, I also look for organizers, and Maya on Lazada has the cheapest acrylic ones. And because I'm a new fur parent, my cart is full of dog toys and treats. So may pa-dehydrated chicken and duck feet pa ako from Tritos by Joey at Shopee. So sorry not sorry about my introduction / boodle, pero hindi naman ako ang nagpasimuno niyan. If you can still recall what was in your basket last 2021, could you name some of them in the chat section? Do you guys still remember what you bought last year? Well, most likely, your new purchases included fresh groceries, like meat and vegetables, some personal care items. Maybe you've also tried doing teleconsults for healthcare. And I'm very sure that you've had food delivered to your houses and even to loved ones. What about in 2020? Type it in the comments. What are the things you spent on when we first had our lockdown? So ako, hinahabol ako ng ads for home improvement. Yes, there's face masks, portable iron, wow, stationaries, and skincare, of course. So what we've seen is that people actually spent on organizers, closets, yung mga hashtag team kahoy dyan. My friends have also bought a lot of tech upgrades for phones, laptops, earphones, microphones. Sama na rin yung mga ring light as well as matching office chairs or gaming chairs. So if you're like me, you've probably also bought from Moving Peach or other gymwear stores and use them as pambahay instead of exercising. So 2022 na, gamitan na natin yung mga gymwear na binili natin. What's interesting is that in the past 2 years, the items in our carts have drastically changed. I'm not sure if you still remember our lives before the pandemic, but e-commerce wasn't necessarily used for frozen food and even toiletries when it launched. We were spending on streaming services like Netflix and ride-hailing like Uber before it shut down. And we were also spending on beauty and cosmetics. So if you guys still visit Beauty Manila, they were one of the pioneers in this. So this is just one of the notable behavioral shifts that the Pinoy digital consumer is doing. We aren't just growing in population or spending more money in online purchases. We are also buying a wider range of categories. It's no longer limited to streaming, ride-hailing, or beauty products anymore. Filipinos now buy at an average of 8.2 categories online. This 70% increase in 2021 was driven by the purchases of fresh groceries, personal care items, and healthcare, which were not categories typically bought online before the pandemic. Of course, there are other online shopping behaviors we should consider as we navigate this e-commerce evolution. Aside from the diversified categories that I've already mentioned, we can also look at how people are buying online. We are actually a discovery-driven generation, and at least 65% of Southeast Asians agree. They go into e-commerce platforms without knowing what they actually want to buy and are greatly influenced by what they see on social media. May hashtag pa nga na TikTok made me buy it. You also look at TV and even the online retail sites. So admit it, how did you end up buying that new household appliance, home office item, and electronics? Baka nabudol lang din kayo. Next, our offline window shopping has migrated into what we now call shop hopping. And what this means is that Filipinos are actually shopping at 7.8 platforms, which is a growth from the 4.3 in 2020. Of course, you know the top two, which are Shopee and Lazada. But there are other platforms we are spending our money on, such as social commerce. Yung mga DM is the key. That's counted as e-commerce too. And yan, yung home buddies na group na yan. Nako, ang dami ko nang nabila because of them. You also have Amazon, Zalora, Kimstore, Picaroo, as mentioned earlier, and even other branded sites. Finally, we need to take a look at the changes in the battle for loyalty. It's not just about price. Consumers are more willing to try new brands and platforms, and loyalty changes accordingly as a result. Product quality, availability, and environmental and sustainability factors now compel consumers to switch brands. And this isn't just a regional insight, it's actually very specific to the Philippines. The reality is, as new opportunities arrive, obstacles can arise. Our dynamic ecosystem is only at the beginning. While it feels like the market has been saturated and it seems like all the brands have activated and accelerated in the past 2 years, the truth is, what we are seeing is now only at 18% of the total retail sales in Southeast Asia coming from e-commerce. So there's a lot more that can happen in the next few years. So this tells us that we must constantly monitor behavioral shifts because the standards and the mindsets are still being developed. Nothing is set in stone yet. The infinite choices displayed on infinite shelves you see today will only keep expanding and evolving. So in order to keep up with the heightened and dynamic demands online, we must not obsess about the technology or the platforms. Instead, let's take a step back and focus on the people, the hearts behind shopping decisions. So in the next 15 minutes, let's try to untangle what Google calls the messy middle. This is the space of abundant information and unlimited choice. This is where shoppers have learned to manage using these options with a range of cognitive shortcuts. This approach will allow us to embrace the new reality of consumer decision-making where there are no typical journeys. It will also allow you to adapt the learnings towards any business and any stage as we look at fundamental truths about humans. So let me invite you to think about a recent single item you've purchased. Share with everyone in the chat if you can still remember and if you can count around how many steps or actions it took before making that final checkout. So what's your number? How many tabs were open? How many platforms did you look at? So just give a number, give a range. So while you're reflecting, let me think about my recent skincare purchase. I'm pretty sure I wanted to buy some sunscreen. But what happened was I ended up with vitamin C serums, ceramide creams, essence toners, and even oat milk, ang labo. All from brands I've never even considered or seen on our local shelves. I probably started searching for the best sunscreen. And good for you guys, puro mga less than 4 kayo. Ako, ang dami talagang pinagdaanan. I looked through different listicles on blogs. Then I was redirected on a YouTube video review, which introduced me to new terminologies that I never knew were part of skincare. And then I found myself searching for particular ingredients. Eventually, I needed to compare different brand names and prices. I looked them up and ended up arriving at their brand.com. And then I checked the price on Laz Mall. And then I checked if they have a Shopee Mall, kung mas mura ba dun. And at the end of it, I actually ended up buying from Instagram resellers. Hashtag relate. Thanks, Christo. So I, just like many of online shoppers, spend significant amounts of time navigating back and forth, switching between sites across multiple browser tabs and apps. Aminin nyo na, ilang tabs ang nakabukas para lang mag-compare. In the end, the product under consideration actually changed mid-search as new options became preferred. So from one sunscreen, biglang naging full skincare line at oat milk ang nabili ko. My example and your reflection reaffirms that the journey is not linear. This is no offense to the traditional marketing funnels and IDA frameworks that we all learned from our marketing classes. What we need to understand is that digital shoppers cycle through modes of exploration and evaluation known as this quote-unquote messy middle. Exploration is an expansive activity, while evaluation is inherently reductive. While exploring, we add brands, products, and category information to mental portfolios, or what we could call consideration sets. When we're evaluating, we narrow down those options. So as shoppers loop through exploration and evaluation, they seek out inspiration, research product details, they consider reviews, and compare prices between the point of a trigger and a final purchase. So take caution during this stage of insighting because oftentimes the research will focus on the where and the what of what consumer journeys are doing, resulting in a list of touch points. While such lists offer valuable insight, knowing if they're in social and chat, if they're in pure play marketplaces, they can't really address the equally important question of why a shopper ended up making the decision they did. It also limits the point of view towards these people who have different wants, different needs, goals, pain points, and motivations to make that final click, or rather final tap. So let's try to look beyond the quantitative data for today. Don't worry, there are available resources for those types of reports, which I will flash at the end of my presentation. So again, let me invite you to reframe and refocus to seek out human stories and not just numbers. The only way we can do this is if we go back to the people behind such purchases. We can classify the digital shoppers into two main segments, a B2B customer and an end consumer. B2B customers' intent is driven by different priorities and backed by several stakeholders. With many people to please, the product research timelines are longer. The list of requirements for evaluating products is more detailed. That's why B2B e-commerce websites dwell more on converting the top of the funnel, or what we call the tofu, and the middle of the funnel of visitors to become prospects first before turning them into actual customers. Well, next, the average time spent at every stage of the sales life cycle for consumers, or B2C, is actually shorter. Unlike B2B buyers who allocate more time to database product evaluation and consideration, B2C folks often act on impulse, thus are more receptive to various cognitive triggers activated by our bias. I know that was already a lot. I hope you guys are still with me. Now I will be presenting to you some of the work I've done with NUWORKS, the country's biggest independent innovations agency. We focused on telling and moving human stories through creative technology. With this, it allowed us to personify our markets in ways that allowed our creatives team, our tech team, our client, and partners to create business decisions based on something that is actually on actual consumer needs and motivations. So for today, let me offer you 5 potential whys that you could leverage on for your online business. So PRICE. First, price. These shoppers look for the best promotions and deals, value for money, and for consumers, they often ask for LP. You guys know what it means? LP is last price. For B2B shoppers, they ask for LP too, but this time it actually means list price. Next is range. Usually, this means looking for product assortment in flavors or sizes. B2B's assortment is more on customization with packaging and quantity. And given the pandemic, this motivation has evolved to prioritize the availability of products, creating switchers out of former brand loyalists. Third is information. Shoppers with this motivation want to engage in informed decision-making, not just on the product specs or quality, but also in its usage and more recently, safety and sanitation. Think about it. We could care less if employees were vaccinated or what technology or formulation businesses would use to sanitize tables and chairs before the pandemic. Now, businesses are putting that information front and center. Fourth is convenience. Even if a shopper is aware of a better product out there, if their delivery or customer service representatives are hard to deal with, expect them to drop off from your site and even complain about it to their followers or the public kung talagang galit sila. This is heightened even more with the idea of on-demand services. Because the reality is, these conveniences don't necessarily have to come from your direct competition for the consumer to actually demand it. Remember, people are experiencing these seamless customer journeys, intuitive and personalized offers from different platforms, not just your competition. A shopper could be on your clothing store website, but expect it to have the machine learning and the algorithms of Netflix or Spotify to create recommendations for their wardrobe. Ang tanong nila, bakit si Facebook? Bakit si Amazon? Bakit si Apple kaya yon? Bakit kayo hindi? So people compare experiences, not competitors. So make sure to benchmark beyond your categorical competition for winning experiences. This brings us to the final motivation, experience. Shoppers also look for unique and enhanced shopping experiences. This can look like personalized items, VIP treatment, or enjoyable shopping experiences filled with games, rewards, video, or music. To put some perspective, let me show you examples of how these motivations can come to life on digital. NUWORKS has actually collated these new Pinoy shopping behaviors initiated by the double-digit sales, and you can check out the full list on the QR link provided. In relation to price, Filipinos have learned the art of waiting. Shoppers will add to cart but wait until midnight to collect vouchers and even wait some more for additional discounts at the strike of the double-digit sale. They admit, kinain na sila ng sistema as they patiently navigate through the cheat sheets for codes and schedules. Abangan, may 4.44 coming soon. In relation to range, users are now crowdsourcing shopping ideas. This is unique to online shopping. Can you imagine if you were in the stores of Uniqlo, Rustan, Save More, etc.? What if someone were to come up to you in person, face-to-face, and say, patingin naman ang basket mo? Diba medyo weird? So again, we are talking about a discovery-driven generation. These shoppers are opening up Shopee or Lazada, browsing around without any clue what item they actually want. Now, how does the demand for information come to life? Does the term LC ring a bell? It means legit check. Online communities made huge strides to assist fellow shoppers to check the credibility of sellers and buyers, especially in marketplaces and social commerce. Research includes inspecting both the seller and the buyer if they are legitimate. That's why you see the term bogus buyer, joy reserver, and flakers, aside from the usual scammers. So the small business owners here, makaka-relate dyan. So the organic and community-driven social proofing provide assurance to the shoppers and address the emerging worry on sanitation, safety, and security of items online. And there's nothing like Filipinos' value of bayanihan to show you how resourceful and accommodating people can be in the name of convenience. Shoppers are now engaging in transactions with each other in the form of pasabay. Of course, there's different translations to pasabay, but for this example, we're talking about the instance where a large shipping fee can be split among neighbors to make the purchase worth it. So from crowdsourcing now to crowd shipping. Finally, an example of enhanced shopping experience comes to life in the form of video for our see now, buy now market. Users are now equipped to check out the same platform where they are watching videos from. So we've seen this on Laz Live, Shopee Live, Facebook Live, and even an emerging platform called Kumu. Streamers showcase the product in use while directing them to shoppable tabs that allow users to add to cart without ever closing the video or leaving the platform itself. All in all, the messy middle tells us that people have varying needs at different points in their journey. Sometimes we need to provide them the biggest discounts. Other times, all they need is reassurance from their peers. So challenge yourselves to leverage organic behaviors, communities, and features based on PRICE. price, range, information, convenience, and experience. As I wrap up my segment of untangling the messy middle, I also wanted to give you the behavioral science approach towards attracting online shoppers. Admit it or not, we are not completely rational beings. We have cognitive biases. These are actually systematic patterns of deviation from the norm or rationality and judgment. These are the things that shape our shopping behavior and influence why we choose one product over another that sometimes doesn't really make sense. So be ready to participate through the chat as we explore some cases from the EcomWorldConference that I attended last year. So we have two headphones here. A is sold at $150 with no shipping costs. B is sold at $145 on the product page. And then when you add it to cart, suddenly there's an additional $5 for shipping. Which of these high value headphones feels better to purchase? A or B? Okay, we have some answers, mostly A. All right, you guys are correct. So it feels better to purchase A. The reason behind this is that we are loss averse. In this case, the pain is stacked. So you feel the pain of the $145 first, and then you feel another pain for the $5. So that's why you'll hear people complain about separate or additional payments, even if in the end, they total to the same cost. You know, sasabihin ng nanay mo, ang tatay mo, hiwalay pa ba nabayad yon? So remember to group the pain. And on the flip side, you can separate the gain. That's why we love stacking up vouchers. So you want the cash back, then you want free shipping, then you want the Lazada birthday voucher, and then you want the credit card voucher on top of it. Next case, here are two rewards cards. A has 8 slots that you need to complete. B has 10 slots, but 2 are already done for you. Which rewards program would you rather complete? Oh, we have mixed reactions here. Some are A, some are B. All right, so in a study by Joseph Nunes and Xavier Jose, the results show that 79% more people completed the card with free progress. What's happening here? It's the same 8 slots that need to be accomplished, right? Again, we are not completely rational beings. The cognitive bias behind this is endowed progress. We are motivated to complete a task even if there's artificial advancement offered already. And the final case asks how to make a higher volume cup become the best seller. So from 12 ounce as the best seller, how do you make the 16 ounce the best seller? So the answer here is simply to make it your middle option. You don't have to make the 16 ounce cheaper. You just have to make it the intermediate option. So we usually don't like choosing extremes. Wag yung pinakamaliit, wag yung pinakamalaki. Compromise effect dictates that a decision maker chooses a middle option over an extreme one. Yes, grande on Starbucks is always our go-to. So choosing an intermediate option is easier to justify, less likely to be criticized, and is consistent with loss aversion. So we only had a short time to cover a few of the 100 cognitive biases that drive us today. What I've shown you are some examples on how to nudge the shoppers. This means how to deliberately design the behavioral environment to make it easier for them to decide towards an ideal action. So don't be scared to employ these behavioral science principles to make your proposition compelling between the exploration and the evaluation stages. As I close, make it a habit to start with people and remember that we are not rational beings. Missing out on this reality is the reason why 95% of new products fail. So as you navigate through the messy middle and make strides to untangle them, I hope that these core principles enlighten you at the heart of every purchase is a story behind a shopper that needs to be moved or simply told. Thank you so much for listening to me as you continue absorbing great insights and ideas here at Click Revolution. Do not be pressured to be a know-it-all. Be kind to yourselves and also be kind to your teammates and believe that it's better to be a person who is willing to learn it all anyway. Again, I am Lourdes Batac. You can contact me for talks and consultancies on e-commerce and beyond. Make sure you connect with me through LinkedIn and email. It's Lourdes SHB or follow me on Instagram. As promised, here are some of the quantitative and qualitative research that's available online. #sharing is caring. If the QR codes don't work, I'll send the link via chat. Have a great rest of the afternoon and see you again later. Bye!
Fantastic
Thank you,
presentation!
Grabe,
Oh,
Jelly. Napacheck ako kanina ng mga boodle finds ko na sinave sa Facebook because of what she shared.
I love it.
Lourdes, bravo, fantastic presentation, because aside from all of the insights and for sharing all of that information, including the QR codes, your sources of information, thank you so much for that. You also got everyone really interacting on the chat, which is awesome. I share the same sentiment as many people on the chat right now. Very engaging and interesting talk, according to Alex. Informative presentation, according to Stephanie. Applause. Charles says, damn, so deep. Okay. Thank you,
Thank you.
Lourdes.
Thank you, Lourdes.